Tens of thousands of men settled in their platoon formations. They surveyed a dry and flat expanse from where few plants grew. The men raised their canvases to escape the sun's glare as a sea breeze blew from the east, bringing respite from weeks of steady marching. Spears, swords and shields abounded, placed at rest against their packs. Few from the mantle travelled this far south. A young soldier removed his sandal and placed his foot on top his knee. He brushed the dirt away and rubbed the blisters which formed on the sole.
"These feet have taken me so far, further than I thought possible,"
he said. He took a sharp knife from his belt, pierced a blister and pushed on it, sending a squirt of liquid onto the soldier beside him.
"Dotem, are you kidding me?"
shouted the soldier next to him.
"Blister juice? You're a grub."
"I'm sorry,"
Dotem said, chuckling.
"My feet hurt. I have to fix them."
Dotem reached over and attempted to wipe the liquid from his comrade's leg.
"Oh, stop, you idiot. You're spreading it,"
said the soldier. Dotem smiled and raised his arms in surrender. The soldier grabbed a dirty rag and cleaned himself, placed the rag away and picked up a twig and broke it into segments.
"We've been at this for weeks. Get up, hurry up, march, sit down, wait, every single day."
The section commander stared at the soldier. "Do you think those in command are trying to inconvenience you? We keep stopping so the scouts can do their job. Knowing what's ahead might save your life." The section commander threw a rock at him. "The people running this show are smarter than you, remember that." The oldest soldier in the section was Cecil. He joined the conversation.
"The scouts have been forward of us for days. Longer than usual,"
he said.
"They're not coming back. Not this close to Vez."
He then scoffed.
"Oh, their stealth is of little use against this spooky shit. I bet they're all dead."
The section commander frowned. "Shut your mouth, Cecil. What good is talk like that?"
"I wouldn't worry,"
said Dotem.
"Those guys aren't in the business of being captured."
Cecil continued with a gruff voice.
"This will be the 4th doomed army I'll have served with during this war. How I ever survived is beyond me. But truth be told, everyone around me dies. Everyone. You are not in good company if you hope to live."
The section commander stood and cast a shadow over Cecil.
"Grab a shovel and dig a shit pit. And when you're done, go to the other sections and dig their shit pits. Now go!"
Cecil kept his eyes fixed at the ground and stood. He grabbed the team's shovel and dragged his feet as he set off on task. In the distance, the sound of many shuffling feet rose above the general chatter. Dotem raised an ear and stood. Soldiers from another platoon were already on their feet.
"The scouts are back!"
one of them shouted. A company of soldiers, over 100 in total, moved through the formation. They carried small backpacks and short swords and had smeared across their faces, arms and legs a fine black dust.
"What did you find?"
a soldier asked. The scouts continued past with their mouths shut. They arrived at the commander's tent, center of the formation. The scout commander set the men down and approached the tent. A soldier guarded the entrance.
"I must speak with Commander Baladin,"
said the scout leader. The guard led him in. At the center of the tent was a small table with a map of a peninsula. Around the map stood 4 senior commanders. One of them looked up.
"What do you report, soldier?"
said Baladin, interrupting the discussion around the map. The scout leader shook his head.
"We surveyed the city and the lands around the city."
He paused.
"We found no threat, only normal patterns of life."
"Nothing?"
said Baladin. He turned around and took 3 paces.
"Something's off. A deception's been employed. We're at the mantle's end. Everything led here."
"We took our time to be sure,"
said the scout leader.
"If there was a threat, some force, we would have found it."
"Something is very off,"
said Baladin, muttering under his breath. He looked at the other commanders.
"I don't doubt the reporting, but I don't believe for a moment that we are going to march into Avez unopposed. We have watched too many of our armies fall to believe this."
Baladin thought for a moment, then turned to his subordinate commanders.
"Prepare your men for combat. We step off at sunrise." "Wake up, dick maggots,"
said the section commander as he walked to each bed space, kicking those asleep.
"You've got till sunrise to shit, piss, and have all your things squared away. We have our orders."
Across the battle group, soldiers packed their bedding, strapped their sandals and placed their packs upon their backs. The sun spilled over the horizon as Commander Baladin rode his horse to the front of the formation. Dotem watched him ride past.
"Hey, we'll actually be close enough to hear him,"
he said. Commander Baladin turned his horse and faced the endless sea of soldiers standing on the peninsular plain. The sun glinted off his armour as he filled his lungs with air and spoke.
Years ago, many of us met at opposite ends of the battlefield, fighting for the interests of people you had never met. Today we are what's left of those armies, fighting for the interests of all. We do this because we no longer wish to be subjugated by those who fancy themselves gods. Today we are many armies, a world army, and we fight for just that, our world, the mantle.
Baladin looked through the massive expanse of his battle group, raised his sword and said with a roar,
Today we commit deicide!
The soldiers boomed a battle cry which moved across the formation like a wave. Baladin smiled as he observed his men ready themselves. From the south a cold wind blew, and with it a soft feminine voice spoke 2 words.
Not today.
Baladin's smile abandoned him as a chill ran down his spine. His world army went silent. Baladin looked down and watched as small pebbles shook against the ground, followed by a thunderous crack. The ground beneath the army's feet quaked and collapsed, leaving a layer of dust suspended where the ground once was. Baladin steadied his horse as each soldier climbed back to their feet.
What's happening?
The soldier cried out. The mantle dropped in every direction as far as the soldiers could see. The men looked to Commander Baladin as he took a breath, but before he could speak, the ground collapsed again. Cracks and crevices formed throughout the ground as Baladin's horse reared up and let out a panicked snort. It bolted, placing its front hoof into a crevice, snapping its leg and falling forwards. The disabled horse threw Baladin several meters into the air, ploughing him through the dirt and gravel. He climbed to his knees with his face bloodied and tried to stand, but was knocked down as the mantle collapsed again. With each attempt to stand, the commander and his army was thrown back down with successive collapses of the ground. The mantle had dropped 80 meters. Hundreds of men fell into fissures which formed with each shift of the ground. Skulls cracked, bones broke, and soldiers screamed as the fissure walls moved, crushing those trapped. Baladin struggled to his knees, and as he did, that frigid wind blew once more, bringing with it that firm but feminine voice which uttered but a single word.
Yield.
Baladin cried out.
I will not.
Trepidation wound in Baladin's heart as he felt a deep rumble permeate the ground. From the east and from the west, a towering deluge of water approached. The sea was closing in to fill the void created by the cataclysm. The soldiers that remained looked in both directions and watched as the walls of water closed in. The tsunamis hit the men on the flanks, consuming them in an instant. Commander Baladin stood, facing south towards Avez as the waves approached. Dodin, with blood pouring from his brow, found himself behind the commander. He crawled to him.
How could we have fought this?
He cried.
Not with swords or shields.
A new sea formed as thousands of men drowned 60 meters below its surface. Commander Baladin, heavy in his armor, laid on the sea floor, holding his last breath. He looked up. He saw large silhouettes swim above and around his drowning army. Unnatural creatures filled the waters and feasted on the men with life still in them. Gnashing teeth ripped their flesh, crushed their bones, and severed their flailing limbs. Utterly defeated, Baladin released his last breath and closed his eyes.